Why does music give you goosebumps? The secret to hacking your brain. Hello, curious minds. Have you ever been listening to a song and suddenly, without warning, you get goosebumps, a lump in your throat, or feel euphoria running through your entire body? How is it possible that simple vibrations in the air, a melody, can take control of our deepest emotions? Today, we're not staying on the surface. We're going on a journey, a descent through 5 levels of knowledge about music and the brain. I promise you, when we're done, you'll never listen to your favorite playlist the same way again. Level 1, the surface we all know. Let's start with the most obvious, what we've all experienced. Songs with a fast rhythm and a major key like Happy by Pharrell Williams make us feel, well, happy. And slow songs in minor keys like Someone Like You by Adele evoke nostalgia or sadness. It's the most basic rule of the game. Music has a direct emotional flavor. But we don't just feel, we also act. Think about this. Why do gyms blast electronic music? Or why do luxury stores have soft, elegant ambient music? Because rhythm affects us physically. A fast tempo can synchronize with our heart and accelerate our movements, giving us energy for that last rep at the gym. And slow music in a store relaxes us, making us walk slower and perhaps buy more. Music is the invisible remote control of our body's rhythm. And this is not new. In fact, it's ancestral. Imagine our ancestors thousands of years ago sitting around a campfire. They didn't have Spotify, but they had drums, claps, and voices. Shared rhythm wasn't just entertainment, it was a way to create a bond, to synchronize the group, to feel like a single, united, strong tribe. Rhythm has been the heartbeat of community since the beginning of time. That need to connect through sound is still etched in our DNA. And finally, at this basic level, there's that very familiar and sometimes frustrating phenomenon, the song that gets stuck in your head. The famous musical worm or earworm. A melody settles in your brain and loops endlessly, with nothing you can do about it. It's something we take for granted, but why does our brain, such a sophisticated machine, get stuck repeating a Bad Bunny chorus over and over? Okay, what we've just seen is what almost everyone knows or senses about music, that it has basic emotions, that it affects our body, that it unites us as a group, and that it sometimes becomes repetitive. It's the tip of the iceberg, the visible part floating in the ocean of our knowledge. But if this is what we see on the surface, what secret engines move it underneath? What's really happening in the engine room of our brain? It's time to dive in. Welcome to Level 2. Level 2, the hidden mechanisms. Remember how we talked about sad songs making us feel sad? Here comes the first big revelation. Sometimes they make us feel good. When you listen to a melancholic melody, your brain sometimes releases a hormone called prolactin. Prolactin is a hormone the body uses to comfort us, to give us a feeling of care and calm. It's as if your brain detects the sadness of the music and, like a friend anticipating events, gives you a chemical hug to make you feel better. That's why we sometimes take refuge in sad music. It's not to feel worse, but to receive that biochemical comfort. All music that moves us is governed by an invisible rule, the rule of attention and release. Composers are masters at creating anticipation. They play a series of notes that make us expect a logical conclusion, a final note that resolves the phrase. While we are kept in that tension, our brain is on edge. And when that note finally arrives, boom, release. It's exactly like a joke. The humor isn't in the punchline, but in the tension created by the preceding story. Music plays with that expectation to give us chills. Now let's talk about why a song you initially didn't like suddenly becomes your favorite. This is due to a factory error in our brain called the mere exposure bias. Our brain is by nature a bit lazy and distrustful. It prefers what it already knows because the known is safe. So when you hear a new song, your brain might say, meh, I don't know what this is. But after hearing it on the radio, in a store, in a reel, your brain starts saying, hey, I know this one. It's familiar, it's safe. I like it. It's not that the song is better, it's that your brain has gotten used to it. When we talk about certain chords sounding sad and others happy, it's not a universal truth set in stone, it's a cultural inheritance. In ancient Greece, for example, they believed that certain types of musical scales, the modes, had an ethos, a moral character. They believed that one melody could make you brave and another cowardly. This idea that music has an inherent power to shape character has filtered through the centuries, which is why today our Western culture strongly associates minor keys with sadness and major keys with joy. It's a custom over 2,000 years old. All these mechanisms at their core solve a fundamental human need, that of belonging. When you sing an anthem in a stadium, when you dance to the same rhythm at a party, or when you share a song that moves you with a friend, you're not just listening to music. You're synchronizing your brain with those of other people. Music acts as a neurological social glue, making us feel connected, part of something bigger than ourselves. It satisfies that primal need not to be alone. And the final mechanism that changes everything is the brain's reward system. When you listen to a song that fascinates you, especially at its peak moment, your brain releases dopamine, the same neurotransmitter activated by things like delicious food, money, or falling in love. This is crucial. It's not that you like music abstractly. It's that your brain is giving you a real chemical reward, a rush of pure pleasure. Knowing this completely changes the idea that music is just a pastime. It's a natural drug we self-administer. So as we close the second level, we see that we are not passive observers. Understanding these hidden gears, the chemistry of comfort, the interplay of tension, our brain's biases, and the dopamine rush, gives us a new perspective. It shows us how and why music holds the keys to our own mind. But if you thought we had everything clear, get ready, because this is where the story gets truly chaotic. To think that everything boils down to a couple of chemicals and rules is too simplistic. Reality is much messier and more fascinating. Level 3, the chaos of reality, debates and complexities. Here the debate begins. The first big debate is emotion in music universal or cultural? On one hand, there are those who say that certain musical structures are intrinsically emotional for any human being, regardless of where they were born. On the other hand, there are those who argue that everything is learned, that if a melody sounds sad to you, it's because your culture has taught you to associate that sound with funerals or sad movie scenes. There's no easy answer. Now, a secret. Have you heard of the Mozart effect? The idea that if you play Mozart's music for your children or even your baby in the womb, they will become smarter. Well, it's a myth. The truth is that listening to music you like and that energizes you can give you a small temporary mental boost, but it doesn't matter if it's Mozart, Metallica, or Rosalia. Why do we love to believe in this myth? Because we seek magical solutions, simple shortcuts to complex problems like intelligence. It's a story too good not to be true, even if it isn't. And this leads us to an incredible paradox, almost a philosophical dilemma, the paradox of tragedy. Why do we actively seek out music that emotionally devastates us? We pay to go to a concert to cry, we create playlists titled Songs for a Rainy Day that sink us into misery, and we love it. It goes against all survival logic, which tells us to avoid pain. Why do we pay to feel bad? It's one of art's great contradictions. And now let's get a little critical. We've seen how powerful music is for hacking the brain. And that leads us to an ethical question. Is it right to use it to manipulate us without our realizing it? Music in supermarkets is designed to make you buy more, and in casinos to make you bet without thinking about time. It's used in political campaigns to generate fervor. Where is the line between creating an atmosphere and covert manipulation of our decisions? This idea of what is right or wrong in music also changes over time. Think about dissonance, those chords that sound bad, tense, or jarring. When Stravinsky premiered The Rite of Spring in 1913, people rioted because the sound seemed like a horrible assault. Today, that same dissonance is used in any horror movie soundtrack to create suspense, and no one is shocked. What one generation considers noise, the next calls art. The debate is eternal. All this chaos reveals something profound about the human condition, the radical subjectivity of experience. The same song that transports you to ecstasy can be unbearable noise for your best friend. There is no objective truth about whether a song is good or bad, or about the correct emotion it should evoke. Music shows us that each of us lives in our own emotional bubble, and that is both solitary and wonderful. In summary, Level 3 teaches us that the reality of music is not an exact science. It's a battlefield of ideas full of myths, paradoxes, and ethical questions that have no single answer. It's a perfect reflection of how messy and complex we are. Very good. You've survived the chaos. You've seen that easy answers don't exist. Now it's time to see the details that separate the curious from the true connoisseurs. Welcome to Niche Knowledge. Level 4, Expert Knowledge, Niche Secrets. Do you know that chilling sensation that runs through your body at the peak of a song? It's not just wanting to cry. It has a name, frisson, or aesthetic chills. And science has discovered that it's not random. It usually occurs with unexpected harmonic changes, when the music suddenly breaks from what you expected. It's a real physiological reaction, a kind of pleasurable short circuit in your nervous system. And speaking of reactions, there's something even deeper: brainstem reflexes. Before your conscious brain, the one that thinks, oh, what a beautiful melody, processes the sound, the most primitive part of your brain, the brainstem, has already reacted. Imagine you're in silence and suddenly a door slams. You jump. You don't decide to be startled. Your body reacts before your mind. Music uses this. A sudden change in volume or a very high-pitched dissonant sound activates this same primary alarm system, generating a visceral response before you can even name the emotion. Much of this knowledge about primary emotions we owe to a secret hero of neuroscience, Jaak Panksepp. This researcher spent his life studying the roots of emotions in mammalian brains and discovered ancient systems we all share. He proposed that music is nothing more than a sophisticated way to activate these primary circuits. The play system with joyful rhythms, or the panic grief system with sad melodies that imitate the distress calls of offspring. Basically, he connected our musical emotions with the rawest, most animalistic sounds. But there's an alternative theory, a rebel view that competes with this idea. It's the theory of the speech prosody. It holds that our emotional response to music is a byproduct of our ability to detect emotions in others' tones of voice. A slow, low-pitched melody mimics the cadence of a sad voice. A fast, high-pitched one, that of an excited voice. According to this view, music is like a super language that tells us nothing with words, but directly hacks our vocal emotion detector. And here's a mind-blowing finding that clashes with all our common sense. There are people with a condition called amusia who are unable to recognize a melody. For them, Happy Birthday sounds the same as a Beethoven symphony. But, and this is the incredible part, many of them can correctly identify the emotion of the piece. They can tell you this sounds sad or this sounds happy, even if they can't distinguish the notes. This suggests that our brain processes melodic information and emotional information along completely separate paths. And now the final detail of this level, the one that connects many of the ideas we've seen, it's the concept of rhythmic entrainment. When you listen to a powerful rhythm, your brainwaves literally begin to oscillate in sync with that rhythm. This is a full-blown aha moment. It explains social bonding around the campfire or at the disco. Our brains are literally on the same wavelength. It explains why tempo affects our heart, our body synchronizes. It's the physical bridge that unites air vibrations with the electricity of our neurons. It's the ultimate connection. Reaching this level of detail shows us that music is not just a cultural adornment. It's a fundamental force that interacts with our biology in the most intimate and unexpected ways. It's not just something we listen to, it's something that happens to us. We have reached the limit of what is known for certain. We have explored the known maps of the brain and music. Do you dare to look beyond to the last frontier, where there are only questions and wonder? Level 5, the final frontier, speculation and awe. Let's look to the future. Imagine an app on your phone connected to your biometric sensors. You've had a terrible day. The app detects it and, using artificial intelligence, doesn't play a sad song from a playlist, but instead composes in real time a unique and personal melody for you, specifically designed to help you process that emotion. Music will cease to be a product and become a dynamic personal therapy. But there's a question that even the science of the future won't easily answer. It's the deepest question of all. Why? Why does a simple sequence of sound frequencies, something abstract, physical, without inherent meaning, produce our internal and subjective experience of joy, melancholy, or beauty? We know which buttons it presses in the brain, but not why pressing those buttons turns on the light of a feeling. It's the ultimate mystery of consciousness. And this leads us to a dizzying philosophical implication. If music can so reliably manipulate our emotional state, what does that tell us about our free will? Are our deepest emotions truly ours? Or are we simple biochemical puppets whose strings are pulled by sound patterns? Perhaps emotion is not something we possess, but something that happens to us, an event triggered by the external world, and music is the purest example of it. Thinking big, understanding this could be key to the future of humanity. If we ever contact an extraterrestrial civilization, mathematics will be our first dictionary. But how do we share the experience of what it feels like to feel? Music, with its universal patterns of tension, rhythm, and harmony, might be our best option. It could be the true universal language for communicating consciousness. And here I leave you with the last idea, the most provocative one. Perhaps music is not something humans invented. Perhaps it's a fundamental property of the universe, like gravity or electromagnetism, that we simply discovered. The laws of physics, the mathematical relationships between frequencies, create harmony. Stars pulsate with rhythm. Planets have orbits that create a kind of music of the spheres. Perhaps music is the sound of the cosmos itself, and our brains are simply antennas, evolved over millions of years, to be able to tune into that frequency. And so, our 5-level journey comes to an end. We have descended from the surface to the most speculative depths of knowledge. Now, with this new perspective, it's time to contemplate the full picture. It's incredible. Do you remember how we started this journey? Talking about something as simple as happy songs making us feel happy. an almost childish obvious idea. And we've ended up here, at the final frontier, wondering if music is the secret language of the universe, and if our brains are cosmic receivers designed to decipher it. We've gone from a simple playlist to questioning the nature of reality, consciousness, and our place in the cosmos. That is the true magic of curiosity. And now I ask you directly, after this whole journey, what is the song that has the most powerful and inexplicable effect on you? And now, why do you think it does? I'd love to read your theories and stories in the comments. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for dedicating your time and attention to me on this descent. If it has fascinated you as much as it has me, subscribe, because there are many other worlds to explore together. See you on the next journey.